Hey, everybody. Brandon Boyd with the Brandon Boyd Show. Thank you so much for watching. Got an exciting episode today. I'm joined by Derek Dye, co-creator of Travel on Points, which, in my opinion, is probably the best Facebook group going. Is that too much to say, Derek?
That's high praise, but I thank you. And this is my favorite YouTube channel.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I'm going to have to zoom out here because my head's getting really big. No, that's awesome, man. We're glad to have you on here. If you don't recall, we had Derek on for a previous episode where we basically just went through, beginner strategies for credit cards, things we wish we would have done differently. And I'll link that down in the description below. So make sure you check that out. In today's video, we really want to focus on a completely different topic, and that's going to be business cards. I think we're going to call this one Business Cards 101. And we're going to run through strategies, what we think of them, what you should do. Are you doing business cards? Are you not? Why should you do it? Why shouldn't you do it? We're going to cover it all and talk about some of our favorite cards as well. But before we do that, Derek, I did want to dig into the Travel on Points group real quick, because last time we talked about some of the beginner Zoom calls that you do, but you also do some meetups, and you all just had one like a week ago.
We did, yeah. So as we mentioned last time, Travel on Points now has a monthly Zoom on Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, typically the second Wednesday of the month. That's free for anyone to attend to give some good beginner content if you are new in the space. We are also, now that Omicron has settled down a little bit, we did have our first meetup out in Sonoma last weekend, 2 weekends ago. In February, we had 35 people show up in Sonoma at the Hyatt Regency there. We did some
awesome.
wine. Yeah, it was awesome. Sold out event. We capped it at 35 to be safe. And we had 35 show up, and it was wonderful. Some wine tasting, a lot of points and miles content, a lot of good food, a lot of good laughter. I came back and I kept calling it my lack of abs were hurting from all the laughter.
That's so funny. And to be fair, it looked like a lot of fun. I have just this. I so regret that we couldn't be there. Kayla and I wanted to be there, but I saw some of the pictures. It sounded like a lot of fun. I know there's some wine and some, good times with everybody, but there was also some really in-depth strategy sessions as well. This wasn't just a group of people hanging out for cocktails. It was probably some of that, but it was mixed in with some very good information. The stuff that was coming out of the meeting, I was like, man, I would have loved to have been in on that presentation, because you guys went pretty deep.
Yeah, we had about 7 hours total of seminar time, with a 10-minute break in each 4-hour session or so. A lot of in-depth stuff, as you mentioned, a lot of stuff we don't talk about on the internet because we don't want a lot of these loopholes exploited by the tens and tens of thousands. So if you want the really, really good stuff, go to a meetup.
Yeah, we've talked about those a few times, and you're right. Sometimes I get those questions on the YouTube channel, and I'm like, oh boy, how do I dance around this? Because I cannot put this in writing somewhere, because this is going to burn.
Right. This play is so good, I can't tell you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but these meetups are awesome. I highly recommend it. Kayla and I had gone to one in Washington, D.C., got to meet some people from all over the country. And I think it's very inspiring to see other people having the same goals as you are, and, maybe sharing different strategies and things you're not even talking about. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. And your group size has grown quite a bit as well, correct?
That's right. Well, we will hit 20,000 people in the Facebook group next week. Our blog readership also is growing week by week, and it's really taken over. But the Facebook group's the bread and butter. 20,000 next week, we think.
That's pretty
awesome. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we were able to catch you in the few minutes when you're not working on something, whether it's, working at home, on your home project. I know you got a lot going on with that, or whether it's building this group up, or a lot of people don't know what your day job is. You're not flipping burgers, as far as I know, right? You're doing something pretty intense.
That's correct. I'm in court a lot. Luckily, not as a defendant, but I'm an attorney in an insurance company. In my day job, my second day job, of course, running Travel on Points. Third job, building a house. Fourth job, part-time podcaster, YouTuber, and I try and keep up with the news from time to time.
Yeah, good for you. That's fantastic. Well, as if your plate weren't full enough, you were able to come on and do a video with us. So we really appreciate it. Make sure before we get started here, I'll put a link to the group down in the description below. Make sure you go check that out. Show Travel on Point some love. They do a great job. It's a very welcoming environment. You can ask any question, regardless of what it is, especially if you're new. Nobody's going to judge you. That was one of the things I absolutely loved about it. It's a very friendly environment to ask pretty much anything, from the most basic things to the most in-depth questions you could possibly think of. So make sure you check that out. And without further ado, I think we just get into it, because I know that you have to sleep every now and then, and I respect that very much. So we've got some topics we want to cover in the world of business cards. Again, we're calling this Business Cards 101, and we're going to cover a lot, but I think the first basic question that needs to be asked, and we'll go back and forth on this, is why business cards? Maybe I don't have a business, or maybe I have no aspirations of running a Fortune 500 company. Why business cards?
Maybe the question we should be asking ourselves is, why not, Brandon? Why not business cards, right? Right. And here's a good parallel. You mentioned in the beginning our first video together, which I really enjoyed both doing and then watching the replay. There are similarities here. For people that saw that, one of our first newbie mistakes, and one that I admitted, my wife Sarah and I, who also co-founded Travel on Points with me, our biggest mistake as a beginner was avoiding business cards, thinking we weren't eligible. And at the time, we had a rental property that was a business, and we were writing on our taxes as business revenue and losses. So we were eligible. We thought we weren't, and we skipped all the Chase business cards. Don't make that mistake. So the parallel between the first video and this one would be, you probably are eligible for business cards. So back to your original question, why business cards? Well, they usually come with very lucrative sign-up bonuses, right?
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
And as we all know, you teach your viewers, I teach my readers. The best way to get boatloads of points and miles is with lucrative sign-up bonuses. So a perfect combo is business cards with lucrative sign-up bonuses to add to those personal cards.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in the case of Chase, there's a couple of cards, no annual fees, where you can pick up some really nice sign-up bonuses. And some of them are my everyday carry cards, like the Ink Unlimited card, 1.5% on everything. Pretty good deal, so it can be used for more than just business. That's another little insider tip. I don't personally run just business expenses through my business cards. I'll be straight up. I use them as catch-all cards. I use my Blue Business Plus at 2 times points. Maybe I'm not supposed to do that, Derek. Is that against the rules? Am I going to go to jail for that? Because there's a lot of people that will ask about that. Can I put my groceries on a business card? And for me, I say, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I always say, look at it through the bank's eyes. What would the bank want? The bank wants you to swipe often, and pay interest without paying in full. That's all they care about. Are they really going to come to you and say, Brandon, you shouldn't have put $20,000 on your business credit card last month. We think that pool deposit you put down was a personal charge. No, right? Of course the bank's not going to say that, right? They're going to be like, thank you, Brandon, for swiping that $20,000 on your card. We got the swipe fee. Now we want you to only pay off 15,000 of it and carry $5,000 for the next year at 15 to 20% interest. Of course, that's what they want you to do. So, sarcasm aside, of course, banks don't care what you swipe. Your CPA might, the banks don't.
Yeah, and the other part of that is too, it's a really good way, especially if you're focused on 524. Let's think about the case with Chase. If you're trying to be in Chase's good graces, which is one of my favorite rhymes, I'm a poet, Chase's good graces, you'll want to focus on your 524 status. And when you're doing business cards, it's not going to add to your personal credit. So you'll be able to, basically use those business cards. If, let's say, you're at 524 and you need some time before you can get another personal card, these business cards are a great kind of bridge, a great bridge to fill some time, but also do it with a lot of points. I'm especially thinking about the business platinum cards, the 150,000 point offers, especially when they're sending no lifetime language offers. I can't tell you how many of those I've gotten doing this pool project.
100%. And to your point, it serves multiple purposes there. When you're working through the Chase 524 cards, and if you're unfamiliar with that rule, Brandon has a good video on it. While you're working through that number, like you say, you can take a break and go to another bank. You don't have to just stop applying for cards for 3 or 4 months to give a break with Chase. You can go to Amex. You can go to Citi. You can go to Bank of America or Barclays, get a business card, get a very lucrative sign-up bonus, as we mentioned. It may be a low annual fee card, but you'll get a lucrative sign-up bonus, and it won't add to your Chase 524. You come back a few months later to Chase, get another Chase card, and your 524 account hasn't changed. You can start bouncing around to all the banks and stay at your 524 number. It's great. It feels like it's cheating, but it's awesome.
It's like somebody's giving you the cheat codes, right? So to sum up point number one, when it comes to business cards, just do it. It reminds me of a line in Tommy Boy, if you don't mind me quoting Tommy Boy. Tommy's dad is negotiating with somebody, and he says, "Why say no when it feels so good to say yes?" That's
right.
the way you feel about business cards.
That is
Don't
right.
say no. It feels so good to get those
right.
lucrative offers, and it will help you out in the long run. So
That's right.
We know why they're good. We've talked about that. A question that I get quite a bit is who's eligible? Do you have to have 10 employees? Do you have to have a certain amount of revenue? Do you have to be a sole prop LLC or a corporation? Who is eligible for business cards? Is it open to everybody?
I always try and keep people from overgeneralizing, but we're in a time crunch here, so let's overgeneralize, right?
Sure.
Everyone is eligible unless your visa or immigration status prohibits business activity. If that doesn't apply to you, if you're a U.S. citizen or you have immigration status that allows business while you are here legally in the United States, you're eligible for a business card. You don't need a registered business. You don't need to have any type of recognition from your state or local governments. You don't have to have anything planned out in advance. You can say, hey, I wanted to do fill in the blank, walk dogs, walk cats, groom dogs, groom cats, board cats, babysitting, start cleaning people's pool, cut people's yards. Even if you're in the planning stages of that, guess what? You are now a business and you are eligible for business cards.
Yeah, because it may ask for your gross revenues or annual revenues, but think about it. If you're a new business, you don't have any. You know what I mean? So if you're trying to get a card to start your new business, they're not going to ask you for $100,000 in revenue every year. It doesn't make sense. Otherwise, nobody would get a credit card as a new business. It's just not the way it works out. So I agree with you, whether it's a babysitting business, lawn care business, or, I've told people if they have aspirations of opening a babysitting business next year, just go ahead and open the card and get the bonus while it's hot, right? They're not going to set
absolutely
every step that you're making. They're not going to call you and say, hey, Martha, where are you at on that babysitting business? You signed up on that. Have you got it open yet? I don't think they're doing that.
Exactly. And I always say, especially if let's play devil's advocate. You are forming a legitimate business, but it's in the planning stages. You think you might have $1 million of revenue in the future, but you don't have any revenue now. The banks understand that you will have cost to start this $1 million a year business. So what do? Well, it's safe to mention future revenue. Now, you don't want to go out of the gate and say it's $1 million, but what do you anticipate your revenue to justify the startup cost? If your startup costs are going to be 50 or 75 grand, we can assume your revenue initially is going to be at least 100 grand. So certainly don't want to lie. This is a financial application. Sure. You want to be honest and truthful, but a lot of this is projecting. The banks, again, know that you might need a business credit card for costs before you've ever sold a single widget or service that you're going to provide. They understand this, and they're there to help you.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at, too. If you have aspirations to start it, it doesn't mean that once you get the card, that business has to be up and operating tomorrow.
That's right.
They're not going to track you down and call you every week, say, how's it going? Is it open? Is it open? Is it open? When are you going to bring in your first paycheck? It's not. If you have aspirations to open something and you want to open up the card, go for it. Right. So we talked about who's eligible, which is essentially just about everyone. But this is something that comes up a lot as well, is the application process, right? Personal versus business applications. There are going to be a couple of questions on there that are going to be a little bit different. You know, you and I have applied for enough business cards, we know, but you know, do you want to share a little bit about what people can expect? If, let's say, they've only applied for personal cards and now they're watching this video and they're saying, wow, I may try for a business card. Where do we go? What can I expect here?
Right. And Brandon, if you would like, in the video, you can link folks to my Are You Eligible for Business Cards blog post, which goes through exactly how to apply for a business credit card. Typically, you list your name. This is assuming you're a sole proprietor. You don't have a legally established business or recognized business. You put your name as the business name. You put your social security number as the tax identification number. You identify your industry and the number of employees. That can be one. You will list yourself.
So to clarify, Derek, too, you mentioned something right there. You can use your just personal social security number. You don't have to have a federal tax ID number, correct?
100% correct. Yeah. And you think about it. You wouldn't if you don't have an LLC, an LLP, a PC, one of those things. So, right. So sole proprietors use your social security number. That brings a second point on that before we get into the other types of application. Sure. Don't make up names. That will not get approved. You know, if Brandon goes with the Brandon Boyd show instead of Brandon Boyd, and he says it's a sole proprietor and uses a social security number, guess what? It's going to be denied. If he says if he says Brandon Boyd, and then in the industry says, you know, it's electronic media, that'll probably be approved because that's the way you're supposed to do it. So don't add anything to your name. Don't add a DBA. Don't come up with a business name. It's your name only. You can use your middle initial or not, but your name only, your social security number, the industry, number of employees. Say you are a sole proprietor, and then list your revenue. And again, if you are not currently earning income revenue for your business, you can talk about what is anticipated. And then the last thing that you will recognize from any personal credit card application is there will be a requirement for a guarantor of the business application. That will be, again, you with your social security number. And then they typically ask you for your personal income there. So list your business revenue or anticipated business revenue. Most banks require a minimum of $1,000, but that's, you know, if you're getting into business, $1,000 a year is pretty easy.
Yeah. And then also just to clarify as well, on the business applications, you'll see a box and it says DBA name. I can't remember exactly what it says, but it'll say DBA. Just don't check it.
That's right.
Don't do it.
That's right. It's a trap.
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't click the button, the shiny box there. Don't do that. There's no need. And like Derek said, just use your name. Just full disclosure. I mean, that's what I always do. And then when you get the card in, the business card, it'll have your name twice, usually Brandon Boyd and then Brandon Boyd under it, because it's, you know, your name and then the business name under it. But if you put just everything in your name, you'll see it on there twice. So if you get the card in, don't be like, oh, I got a misprint credit card. I bet this is worth some money. No, it's not. It's just the way it's just the way it looks.
That's what happens.
Keep it in your name. It improves the likelihood that you'll get approved, just like Derek said. You know, we've done enough of these. We know to keep it as simple as possible on the application process. You don't need to file for an LLC. You don't need to go down to your state government and file paperwork and pay money to do all those things. It's just not necessary, especially if you're doing something like babysitting or lawn care or something like that. Don't fool with it. It's just an extra headache that you don't need to deal with. So
that's right.
Yeah. So got that out of the way. What about personal credit? All right. So, you know, people that, I was going to say take a risk getting cards, but once you get into cards, you obviously have to pay attention to your credit, because certain cards have some restrictions or, you know, on them for what kind of credit that you need. Some are for people with really good credit, average credit, and so on. How does getting a business card impact your personal credit? So if you sign up for a business card, is that going to impact someone's strategy on the personal card side later on, and just their overall credit in general?
Yeah. The answer, again, to generalize is no, it shouldn't have an impact on your personal credit. Remember what we said in the first point. Most business cards, almost all of them, we could get into those nuances on another video, but yeah, 99% of business cards do not report to your personal credit. That's why they do not count against 524.
Right.
Because they do not report to your personal credit. If you are carrying high balances on those credit cards for your business spend, or, floating revenue, or, supplies, whatever, those won't report to your personal credit. So that's really good. Banks don't see those, especially if you're applying for a mortgage or a car loan or something like that. If you do need credit help, however, or you're trying to get your score up a little bit for that new mortgage or something, unfortunately, they won't help you there either, because again, they don't report.
Yeah, there are a small handful that report to your personal. I'm just thinking right offhand: TD, Discover, Capital One, and then there's been some reports about Barclays. Those are kind of just small data points, so I haven't seen an overwhelming amount of people say that. Do you have any update on that, Derek? Just while we're talking, because I know it's being talked about a little bit.
Yep, you're right. The ones that do report to personal and do count against 524, TD Bank, Discover, Capital One Miles cards, not the cash cards, the Spark Miles cards, and then the one that Barclays that has been reporting sporadically is the Wyndham Business Card. We had 2 data points in Travel on Points Facebook group that those did report. We reported that to Dr. Credit, picked up a few more data points. It's less than 5 or 6, though. It seems more like a glitch than anything else, but be aware if you're wanting to pick up that Wyndham Business Card and you're under 524, there is a small chance it will report and will affect your 524.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because that has been brought up.
That's a good point. Good point.
Like but like you said, it's not something that should be an overwhelming thought in your head that if you get 3 or 4 business cards, for example, that you've just totally crushed your credit, because that's simply not the case. I can tell you right now, I don't want to say how many business gold and business platinum cards I've signed up for in the last year. I'm not going to say it on camera, but it's more than a few. And it has impacted my credit absolutely zero. So you can do that. You can earn the rewards, buy yourself some time with your 524 status. I'll be under 524 in April. So I've been hitting business cards very, very hard for the last several months in anticipation of some of those cards dropping off. So I haven't worried about that at all. I haven't lost any sleep on it.
That's right.
Yeah. So, all this sounds great, Derek. Business cards sound awesome. We've really hyped them up, I think, for the first half of this video.
I love business cards. Have I said that?
Maybe. When do you recommend people apply for these? Let's say. Okay. All right.
The day before, last week, last month, the day you were born, whatever.
Okay. Let me throw some scenarios out to you, because, just to play devil's advocate here. Let's say that you've never had a credit card. You don't even have a personal card. Would you start out with a business card, or would you first establish your personal cards and then move towards a business card? We know that a lot of people are eligible, and it's not that hard to sign up and get the offers, but is there an exact time to do it, or would you just say start there?
If you have no credit at all, or you've never had a credit card, you probably want to start small, and I wouldn't recommend starting with a business card. If you have any type of credit, credit cards, but you haven't started the award travel journey, I probably would recommend you go with a personal card first, specifically the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Reserve. That's the logical starting point. Card number 2 should be one of the Chase Inks. While you're under 524, grab one of those, massive $1,000 plus business cards. You can get those with no annual fee that still don't impact your 524. All of a sudden, you open up 2 cards, one personal, one business. You're at almost 200,000 ultimate rewards with Chase, which is worth about $4,000 at Hyatt's or more. And you've only got a couple $100 in annual fees. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Absolutely. So that was a pretty quick topic. Just go get them.
That's right. Now, go. Stop watching the video. Go watch.
We're watching you. We are watching you. Okay, now let's say you've gotten your personal cards. Maybe you've dipped your toes in the water. You've got some business cards. And there's people still exploring business cards, or maybe they don't have one at all right now. They're still a little bit nervous. If someone were trying to pick and choose which one to go with, especially if they want to rack up large amount of points, let's say they're a travel enthusiast, points and miles enthusiast, where would you shift them to? There's a lot of business cards, but which ones do you think work best for the videos that I talk about, and then your travel group as well? Which ones do you steer people towards? Because I'll give you my opinion in a second, but I'm just curious to hear what you have to say on this first.
So when you are new to the award travel game, you should not get distracted by the shiny objects, which we covered in our newbie video in the first go around. The Hilton cards, the Delta cards, the American cards. When you're new to this game and you're getting into award travel, you want to stick to transferable currencies. What do we mean by that? Chase Ultimate Rewards, Amex membership rewards, Citi thank you points, etc. Those points, instead of being stuck at Hilton or Delta or Marriott or Hyatt, those can go to a myriad of transfer partners.
Before we get any further on that, I do want to remind people, I will have a video down in the description below. It's the last one I put out, Derek, as of the time of this recording, where I talked about my entire year of travel in 2021 and broke down how important those transferable currencies were. We took 13 trips. We were out 50 some odd nights through the year. And I break down exactly how important those currencies are. Because like you said, if they're Hilton, they can only be used at Hilton. Right? So make sure you check out that video. That's a very good point.
That's a great segue. And while you are new, stick to the transferable currencies. And if you're under 524, and if you're new, you should be, there's no logical starting place better than going to the Inks. There are 3 of them: the Chase Ink Business Preferred, the Chase Ink Cash, and the Chase Ink Unlimited. 2 of those 3 offer, the Ink Unlimited and the Ink Cash offer 75,000 Ultimate Rewards sign-up bonuses for no annual fee. That's as good as it gets, folks. As good as it gets, right? 15. You and I, Brandon, we love Hyatt. We know that 75,000 Ultimate Rewards, you're talking $1,500 or more at Hyatt's for no annual fee. Absolute no-brainer.
Ridiculous. It feels like you're ripping them off.
That's right. Yep. So you can,
it really does.
Absolutely. You can grab all 3 of those Chase Inks, assuming Chase approves you for all 3. And then you've also got great membership rewards with Amex. We currently have the highest ever offers on the Biz Platinum for $150,000. We have Biz Golds targeted at $100,000. It's absolutely nuts.
The American Express business cards I absolutely love, because the sign-up offers are monstrous on these things, especially if you get some of the no lifetime language offers, and that's a story for another day. But 150,000 point membership rewards adds up very, very quickly. You combine that with the 90,000 points that we've seen on the Amex Business Gold as well. And I'm also going to throw a quick plug in for the Blue Business Plus card. It's 2 times points on your first 50,000 spend every year. Great catch-all card. 2 times membership rewards on everything. I carry it every day. I love that flimsy, cheap looking little card. It's absolutely great. And I burned that one up. I love that thing. You get your beefy gold and platinum cards and they look all flashy, but I'm telling you, the BBP card is a workhorse. I use it quite often. I absolutely love that one. And then the American Express Business Platinum, especially if you're a travel enthusiast, you get the 35% back on your chosen airline as well. And we've utilized that quite a bit, especially when you're traveling with a family of 4 or 5. It's a lot of points, out of pocket initially. You do have to front all those points, but then you get 35% of the points back on your chosen airline. That is a huge savings, in my opinion. I love that.
Yeah, it ends up about 1.55 cents per point on your membership reward. So if let's say you're earning those at 4x at grocery on a gold, that means you're getting 6.2%. Everyone check my math right there. I believe that's 6.2% return for
Nobody's
flights.
checking your math, Derek. You can just say it. Nobody, just check that. Just saying.
I should just come up with a crazy number, but I think it's 6.2%. I'll double check myself later.
Yeah. The Biz Gold is great too. And just to throw another plug for Amex in there, I know you talked about the Chase Ultimate Rewards, but the Biz Gold is great too, especially if you have expenses with food, if you're traveling for business, or if you have any shipping costs or anything like that. That's where I typically use it. Also, if you're on the road a lot with gas, that's very helpful. Advertising for your business, you get 4 times points on your top 2 spend categories. I mean, that's huge. That adds up a lot as well. So in some cases, I know a guy that has 2 business gold cards, and I have 1 for 2 certain expenses and 2 for another. So I'm able to get 4 times on all of those categories. So, I mean, you can really work that out if you need to.
You're a smart man.
I don't know if that makes me smart or not. I'll be honest with you. I'm just telling you that that's what I got.
Hey, you thought about it?
Okay. Whether that makes me smart or not, I don't know, but I'm just telling you, when you can rack up 4 times points, it's helpful if you can be organized enough. But like you said, you don't want to chase the shiny objects either, because there are a lot of those out there with some of the cards you mentioned, especially with the Hilton cards. Some of those offers are 180, 200,000 points. But again, they're not transferable. They're only Hilton points. So, Derek brought up a good point there. Make sure you get something that has the ability to, transfer to, transfer partners, those kind of things. So,
yeah. And remember, all points are not created equal. I personally would take it'd take 4 Hilton points for 1 membership reward for me. Yep. So if I see a 200,000 Hilton sign-up bonus, I'm thinking that's worth 50,000 membership rewards. So when there's 150,000 membership reward offer available, that's 600K in my book. And there I am doing math again. I'm probably wrong.
Well, think about it, because the math stuff. I'm just assuming you're right. I'm just kidding. So on the channel, I talk about a lot. We always shoot for 2 cents a point, right? So 2 cents a point. Hilton points are worth about half a cent a point. So your math is spot on. I mean, you can get 4 times.
It's like I've done this before.
Yeah, you're like an attorney or something. You're speaking like it's great. You're making the case. You're the prosecution here, and you're making the case. So, very, very good. So let's finish up here real quick on the last point with the business cards. Let's say you are a full-time operating business. Okay, let's say that you're not a small-time babysitter that makes $100 a week or something like that. Let's say you're a full-fledged small business. You've got 10 employees, or you're trying to grow your business. Where would you steer people towards in that scenario? We've talked about people that are just getting started, but what about those that are already in the thick of it and they need cards that are going to help benefit their business?
Yeah. So it really depends. And we'll go through those scenarios first. If you really just want to, as we call it, keep it simple, stupid, you want 1 or 2 cards to swipe all day, every day. You probably want one of those blue Business Plus cards that Brandon mentioned, the 2X up to 50,000 spend every year. Your first 50,000 gets you 100,000 membership rewards. Or you could get one of those Chase Ink Unlimited cards, no annual fee, 75,000 point bonus. That gets you 1.5X ultimate rewards on all spend with no cap. So if your business spends 100 grand a year or 50 million a year, you get 1.5X on all of it. So if you don't want to keep it simple, you really need to get some strategy involved and figure out how to maximize your spend. And Brandon, we can talk about this all night, but business cards particularly are very bonus category specific, and different cards really try and attract different types of businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a couple of cards that I'm thinking of right off the top of my head here is, the Business Platinum card. I've already talked about that a little bit. There's 1.5 times points on certain categories for your business, but most people know it for the benefit that's been around a little bit longer. And that is, if you're spending lump sums of $5,000 or more on a single purchase, you can get 1.5 times points that way. And then I just previously mentioned the Business Gold card as well. I mean, depending on what kind of business you're in, you may be heavily in the advertising space, you may be heavily in the shipping space. Getting 4 times points on that is helpful as well. And again, both of those cards are, mid-tier and premium level cards. You get a big sign-up bonus on those as well.
That's right.
So, between the everyday use and the sign-up bonus, it's a pretty good deal. And I got to throw the BVP out there again. You already mentioned it, but that's a great one for your first 50,000 spend as well. So.
Yeah. And again, very category specific. If you're an Uber driver or a taxi driver paying for your own gas and you want multiple cards, you need a Biz Gold or 2 or 3 in your wallet, because 4X at gas stations, that's really, really hard to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked pretty heavily about Chase, and we talked a lot about American Express. Are there any other ones? Why do you steer? And I'm the same way. I focus a lot on them because, the transferable currency is terrific. Transfer partners are great. Everything's good with American Express and Chase. Very happy there. But outside of those two, where would you shift somebody to? Like if somebody said, well, I don't really want to do Chase. I had a bad experience with American Express. Can you give me option 3? Right?
Yeah, right now, my wife Sarah is working on it currently. It's the Capital One Spark Cash Plus. As we mentioned earlier, Capital One non-miles cards do not report to 524, and this is a quote-unquote cash card. It's currently a $3,000 sign-up bonus after 50,000 spend in 6 months. But the kicker is, if you have a miles card, either a Venture X, or a Spark Miles, that $3,000 actually becomes 300,000 points if you want it to. So spend 50 grand, you get 300,000 points. Plus you earn 2x on all spend that is uncapped. So, talk about another keep it simple, stupid. If you want to go to a Capital One card, you're getting 2x Capital One miles on all your spend. Again, assuming you have a different Capital One miles card.
Yeah, and a lot of interesting talk on business cards here. I was actually interested in getting the Barclays Business Aviator card because it popped back up for 60,000 points.
Might be 70.
Yes,
might be 70
if you add an employee card, I think is what it was. But with that rumor about Barclays potentially, reporting.
Go for it.
You think I need to be talked into it? I was really hyped up, and then I started getting these data points, and it kind of brought me back down again. I felt really bad. But you think I just go for it?
Just do it.
Okay, so keep that in mind on the channel, folks. When I do a Watch Me Apply video and I apply and I get denied for whatever reason, you can blame it on Derek because he peer pressured me into it on camera. I can't say no. Derek knows what he's talking about. I can't say so. Now I'm going to do it. I'm going to put out the video and we'll see how it goes.
Hey, if you're approved, I'll take all the credit. If you're denied, I had nothing to do with it. I washed my hands of the entire thing.
No, that's all right, man. That is perfectly fine. I think this was a good discussion because, a lot of people have the same questions when it comes to business cards. We can go into a lot more detail on some of these, but I think this is a good overall view of, I guess you could call it an FAQ video on business cards, trying to tackle some of these, answered a lot of questions. If you do have more questions, I'll make sure you leave the comments down below as well in this video. Check out Derek's Facebook group, Travel on Points, and they have merch. You have merch, right? I'm not gonna. Okay, see. There you go.
That's right.
You're official.
That's
but
right.
You can always go on the Facebook group there, and ask any questions you have. Very welcoming environment. And of course, with our videos, make sure you like the videos, subscribe to the channel. That always helps us out as well. And Derek, let's not let this be the last one. Let's do some more of these in the future. And at some point, I have this vision. I have a vision of recording a video at a meetup and Travel on Points.
I just thought it can be the Brandon Boyd Roadshow.
That'd be great. I could go do that and leave my wife at home. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm sure that'll just.
I like it.
Yeah, that should go over really well. I'll let you talk.
And it sounds like another excuse for another business card. So.
That is very true. Very true.
Yes.
Well, again, everybody, if you have any questions about the video, make sure you leave those down in the comments below. Go to Travel on Points. Make sure you check them out. Check out their next Zoom call. When is the next one, Derek, again?
Next Wednesday, whatever that is, the 9th? 10th? Yeah, I believe it's March 10th, 9 p.m. Eastern. It's our monthly beginner Zoom. So if you are new to the space, and you're not sure what's going on, what all these acronyms mean, that kind of thing, hop on 9 o'clock in the Facebook group. We host the Zoom there. We'll answer all your questions for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then your head swimming, you'll wake up the next day, be so excited and be ready to get rolling.
Okay, awesome. And Derek, we really appreciate you coming on and look forward to seeing all of you on the next video. We'll see you soon.